In 1916, the officers and men of the 109th Battalion gathered in the Academy Theatre, then it was called the Academy of Music, for a concert. The original concert was organized by the band of the 109th Battalion, and joining the 109th Battalion band was a soloist. The entertainers who would entertain at the dinner came up from Toronto and did their skits and songs. And while we wanted to recreate this event as much as we could, we didn't want it to be an exact replica. So we had Jessie Kennedy, who is the drama teacher at IE Weldon School, volunteer a number of the students there to take on roles of local soldiers and indeed nursing sisters from the First World War to act those characters out. Along with the acting portion of the evening, it was very much a musical event.
I stand here and gaze at all the lovely citizens of Victoria County, almost regretful of not having visited your fine town sooner. You are all so supportive and willing to do your part. As we sit and enjoy this glorious waving off ceremony, I think it is important to remember our hopes for these soldiers heading off to Europe to defend our country and values of the Dominion. These men have volunteered to risk their lives to fight for the values that we, in Canada, value most. Upon arrival in Europe, our men will play a multitude of important roles in the fight for king and country. Under the commandment of Lieutenant Colonel J.J. Fee, these men will fight valiantly and are sure to have a profound impact. We now know what to expect of our men when they arrive at the battlefield, and we are more than equipped for whatever lays on the other side of the sea. I have had the great fortune to talk with many of these men. They are some of the most strong-willed and bravest men I have ever met. There is no doubt in my mind that we will witness their successes in headlines across the country. With the courage of these soldiers will come the rise of our country, and together we can win this war.
Now, who would you rather? Corporal's wife or the corporal's daughter? Hey, watch it.
Watch it! Now, why is it that women are the only thing you talk about anymore?
Because there aren't gonna be any on the front line, Greg. I'm not gonna be able to feel the warm embrace of a woman till Christmas.
Seems to me like you haven't felt one since Christmas.
I'm married!
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad you think that's funny. Right, well, when you two end up as bloody basket cases, don't expect me being the one carrying your sorry carcass to the infirmary. Well, you're not exactly a lady killer yourself, Will.
I sure am.
Rubbish. He is when he's sober. He's hardly sober.
He is in the morning.
Everyone's sober in the morning. Abby isn't.
Abby?
Yeah, Abby.
Who's Abby?
Will's sister.
Will has a sister?
She's a drunk.
She's Irish.
Oh, when's that been an excuse?
It was an excuse for, the William Wallace.
William Wallace was Scottish.
What's the difference?
Greg, will you shut up?
Ugh.
Hey, don't tell him to shut up.
He's annoying.
And you're not?
Not to me.
Oh, for the love of God.
We're going to war in 3 days. I'm sure the Hun would love to hear about Agnes, but nobody here does.
Her name is Abby.
You know what? I'll take Corporal's daughter.
participant in today's oratory contest is Miss L. Harrison, who will be reciting a speech she has written entitled, Soldiers of the Soil.
Mr. Chairman, honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to speak to you for a few minutes this evening on a very new but still very important topic, one in which you should all be interested in during these stirring times, namely the soldiers of the soil. Most people consider the boys fighting on the battlefields of France and Flanders to be the most patriotic people. In fact, the only people who are really doing their duty to kin and country. But I think the boys on the farms, the soldiers of the soil, are just as patriotic. If we cannot maintain our allies and their necessities, we cannot expect them to remain constant in war.
I want to go to war, Father.
Well, son, I need you here on the farm.
But if I went off to war, I'd be a part of the Canadian victory. I'm not a part of anything like that here. Not anything. Useless.
You think what we're doing here is useless?
No, of course not.
Because of their geographical position, the United Kingdom is depending wholly on Canada for food. Why is this so? Turn with me for a moment to the Argentine Republic, Australia, and Russia. They are the wheat fields of the world. Why depend on Canada then? Canada is near the motherland. Ships can cross from here in less time, and so lessen the danger of being sunk by German submarines.
Listen here, my boy. Don't think for a second that what we're doing here isn't of use to the war effort. It was even in the paper. While the older boys and men of Canada are fighting in the front lines, the call has gone out to Canada's other line of defense, the food producers. Canada and the Empire need your services. Your work is important, just like any of those soldiers.
But if I was a soldier, I'd be a hero.
You want to be a hero? Well, near as I can tell, if it weren't for you, those men on the front line would have no food. Without food, they couldn't fight. Maybe a part of the reason they're going to win. The world needs lots of different kinds of heroes, Joe.
It is up to Canada to produce food. It is our duty as LCI students, citizens of Lindsay, of the Dominion of Canada and the British Empire, to enlist as soldiers of the soil and help in the production.
Farmers in the First World War played an integral part in the Canadian economy. The Canadian Food Board made becoming a soldier of the soil an equal act of heroism as fighting on the front lines. Farmers would receive medals for their contributions to the war after a term of farming. Their heroism did not go unrecognized.
One of the most notable roles women from across Canada undertook during World War I was to be a nursing sister. Between 1914 and 1918, over 3,000 women aged 21 to 38 volunteered for service overseas. Nursing sisters were responsible for the primary care of wounded servicemen, maintaining hospital wards, meeting ambulance trains, and assisting surgeons. Nursing sisters looked beyond soldiers' physical ailments to also treat the spiritual and emotional needs of the war-weary and wounded. These women, who were summoned from the hillsides and called in from the glen to serve their king and country, through their deeds brought hope to the suffering. On June 9, 1916, several nursing sisters sat in this very auditorium, at the time known as the Academy of Music. awaiting their turn to cross the stage and receive their graduation certificates. Among them were Olive Williamson and Winifred Hardy.
I remember the evening of my graduation. There were 8 of us, graduating on June 9th, 1916. The Academy of Music was decorated with floral blooms.
Since the opening of Ross Memorial Hospital in 1902, a total of 38 nurses have graduated from the hospital. Of tonight's graduating class, 2 are leaving soon for overseas, 2 are waiting to go, and 2 are taking up social service work.
My heartbeat raced faster and faster in anticipation of my name being called.
Our final graduate of the night is Miss Winifred Hardy of Lindsay.
I was so excited then, ready to become a nursing sister overseas.
Now I would like to introduce our guest speaker of the evening. This woman is the superintendent of Grace Hospital Training School, joining us all the way from Detroit. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Harriet Leck.
To begin with, a nurse must have the correct attitude toward life.
This memory has become a blur, just like many others from before the war.
Have faith, hope, charity, and courage
are the words that resonate with me. I was enlisted right away on June 10th, 1916. I will never forget that day. I was going to contribute to the war. I was going to make a name for myself. I was going to put my community, my friends and neighbors along Peniel Road on the map. I was ready for adventure, an exciting life, and new professional challenges.
One of the first things a nurse must learn is to keep her mouth shut and to be optimistic.
The trip to Great Britain was one that tested my will and stomach. I had never before been on a steamship, so the adrenaline and excitement got me through the long venture. When we arrived, the docks looked very dirty and dismal. There were troops everywhere. We came out to nurse our own troops, but were greeted with measles and whoops.
Every reason has difficulty, and the reason leads us to be more patient.
I had a bit of a cold and pains in my back, the regular English flu. We weren't very busy for the first few days, so I stayed in bed for 3 days and got rid of it quite quickly. Some of the other girls from the ship were not as lucky as me. I have been from front to front for 2 years. The soldiers become one in their uniforms. The pace at which patients enter and leave, the nature and seriousness of their wounds, and the care required diverged greatly from what we nurses had experienced as students. It's easier to remember the wound than the name, so I do.
Service to others must be your slogan.
I watch their begging eyes, pleading for relief. I try my best to help them, but supplies are lacking. We sometimes can't even offer them water. Angels of mercy, they call us. Oh, what cruelty. Bluebirds, they call us. We all feel pretty blue and worried. Life has become one continual series of shocks. Strange noises make me think we were being shelled. The electric lights flickering one night made me vividly imagine we were going to be blown up. But the only part of me that suffered was my spirit. I was happy and gay to have served with McRae in my sweet little Alice blue gown.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling.
Well, Brooks, seems to me like we're just about the only things getting older in this town. Nothing's changed, like we never left.
Like we never left.
What's the matter, Brooksy?
I mean, truthfully, I'm put off by this entire celebration. We've been done in, and they want to welcome us back?
Oh, they're just being friendly. They're proud of us.
Proud of what? Knowing that you may never walk properly again? We've been lied to, Louch. When they see us, they'll act like we're the same live wires that we used to be.
You know what? I'm trying my best to stay peppy, and you're not making this any easier. Now, come on, let's get over there. I can tell from here, Reeve Parsons starting to get riled. And hey, sooner we get this over with, sooner we can have a proper meal.
Welcome home, lads.
Thank you, sir.
Good to be home.
Privates Brooks and Louch. Some months have passed since you left us cheerful, strong, and healthy, and buoyed up in the hope of doing something for Canada and the British Empire. Since that time, you have tasted the joy of offering yourselves as sacrifices to the cause of freedom, but you have also experienced much pain, suffering, and hardship.
Freedom, you say? The taste of freedom will never overcome the sour, immoral mouthfuls of this pain, suffering, and hardship you speak of. No ounce of joy can be felt amongst the sight of lifeless bodies and unreliable glances. Too many of us surrendered our souls, our dignity, to a lie that infected the world to its core. Parson's speech ain't fooling me.
We, the citizens of Omini, feel that you have fought for us, and heartily thank you in which the incredible manner for which you fought for us in the far-flung battlefields across the ocean.
I haven't seen this many smiling faces in months. It almost seems foreign. This whole playing pretend thing gets harder by the day. Pretending to be all smiley, when in reality my bones are still shaking. I can still hear the bombs going off, only this time they're in my room. My ears are still ringing. Before the war, I had been naive and hopeful of my dreams. I wanted to take over the land from my father and nurture something with my own hands. I wanted to start a family. Start my life. Now, I can't even close my eyes for fear of being back in my uniform. I feel like I was deceived. But I know and must believe that what I did was not in vain. I fought for the freedom of my country, and I do it again. But believe me when I say, there was a great, great cost.
It is with feelings of great joy that we welcome you again to our midst, and we hope that ere long you will regain your health and vigor.
Many good men and women were lost.
But pride and respect were hard won.
Almost 424,000 Canadian soldiers served overseas.
And 1,050 of those were from Victoria County and part of the 109th Battalion.
These were your ancestors.
Not only did they help shape our small town,
they helped shape our country.
We became a nation at Vimy Ridge.
And gave new meaning to the word Canadian.
The costs were horrific.
But we bask in the benefits that these soldiers fought for.